Okay, we're live. Welcome everybody to Wall Street Reporter's next super stock, a live stream, CEO live chat with CloudMD, DOCRF on the over-the-counter. TSX Venture is DOC. Dr. Hamza, welcome back.
Thanks, Jack.
Always great to have you back. The company's been making a lot of progress. Every time you're back, there's always good news. It's been we haven't had you back in a while. I know you've been busy. You've closed a bunch of deals. You've closed the financing. The stock took a little bit of a hit the last few weeks. A lot of the investors in our audience, they've been following you since 50 cents.
Yeah.
Went to 250. And, the big question now is, why isn't the stock, $10 yet? What needs to happen for it to be $10? Because, the audience right now, they have no patience. They want things instant 10 baggers. They're spoiled now.
Yeah. So, you have a great track record under you, Jack. You spoiled everybody. I always said this from day one, right? When we were first here to last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever, is that this is a marathon. Think of it as a big transformational shift in probably the biggest industry in the world. And if you think about it, and you think about the hockey stick part of it, even though we've moved up very quickly, it's still at the very beginning of that hockey stick type of chart pattern. So when you stand back a year from now, you're going to see that, in the big picture, it's just a small part of where we're at. The other thing is that it's healthy, right? It's healthy to have kind of consolidation every once in a while and get new bases, new.
That's what I would call. You gotta have. I mean, these things don't go. It's got a little bit of a rest, and then you gotta drop the booster rockets, and so the rocket can go through that breakout of gravity and go to Mars.
I think the average price, in the last 2 months for our stock alone is like a 240 or something like that Canadian. So those are all new investors at that range that have come in, and so that's really important to understand. Is this is a long-term thing that we're talking about. We're talking about becoming leaders in a very big space, and it takes time to do it properly. We're not just gonna build it on air, basically.
Okay. Before I ask the next question, we'll get some comments here. So we got an actual user, so which is good. Not so if the guy uses the product and buys the stock,
and then we say that a lot, honestly. But I mean, it's important. But I also want to say one other thing is that you had a great experience, and I think the satisfaction rate is like over 96 or 97% or something like that from users. What's even more exciting is that the things that we're going to be turning on in these apps that we've already built in the back end are going to be even more exciting. Things that you can start using, going forward. That's going to be really exciting. The ability to pick your own physician and stay with that one physician. The ability to find physicians based on certain interests, whether they speak a certain language or they have a sub-interest in women's health or men's health. The ability to see the specialist on the same platform, the ability to chat with the AI virtual nurse or the virtual assistants and so on. There's so many things that we're going to be turning on over the next few quarters that make the experience even better going forward and make your life a lot easier. And so when I always say to you is that patients are not used to having that concierge type of service as a patient, where you have kind of immediate feedback from your healthcare team and not having to wait, and you get good care and you get in sooner and you get better outcomes because of it. That's a foreign idea, in healthcare, and we've built that platform already. We built that infrastructure.
So really, because you're able to constantly add these kind of upgrades, new features into the platform, you're really like the Tesla of healthcare. Like Tesla is always adding new stuff to their cars, their upgrade cycles. You don't have to do anything, right? I mean,
because we own everything, right? I mean, that's kind of a big differentiator, and why we built CloudMD from the beginning is that the frustration of dealing with third-party vendors and third-party software solutions and so on. If you don't own the technology yourself, you're answering to somebody else's agenda. And we don't do that. We have all the IP within ourselves here. We have all the developers. We're able to do things depending on what we think is the proper way of the future. And we can turn on things without answering to anybody else or doing any revenue sharing or joint venturing.
Okay, and we're going to talk about more of the tech platform that you have, because it's a real key differentiator. It's a real, that's kind of the strategic advantage you have. Like, because I think a lot of people still don't quite understand, like, is it clinics? Is it this? Is it a tech deal? We're going to talk about that because it's critical. I think let's address the elephant in the room. A lot of the telemedicine stocks, stocks in the cloud space, and you have cloud in your name. A lot of these stocks got hit recently because, the vaccine is coming out. And so the question is, will this vaccine, once the pandemic is over, will people never have to go to doctors again? Will we live in perfect health? Will we stop using smartphones and go back to VHS tapes and Blockbuster video? Is that going to go back?
No. This is just the beginning, and I'll explain why. On the vaccine part of it, first of all, just so we can step back for a second. Great news, great news that the vaccines are showing early promise with regards to efficacy initially. There's some question about what that really means, but there's also a lot of questions about how long it actually lasts for, how many doses you need, how many boosters you need, and when the average Joe will be able to get it if they want to get it, basically. And the answers to those things is we don't know yet. But it looks like you need at least 2 shots. So that's one thing. You'll probably need boosters every 6 months or something like that as well. Because remember, these are not cures; they're short-term resistance, right? So you'll probably get boosters every 6 months or something like that. And the average Joe might not really even get it until the end of next year, because the priority is going to be the elderly, the chronic disease, the healthcare workers. Initially, they need to get their 2 doses and the boosters that they might require before anybody else gets it. So that's number one. Number two, the genie's out of the bottle. There's no way that anybody is going to be comfortable tomorrow or a year from today to go into a walk-in clinic and sit down and no one knows why you're there and people are coughing around you, even if it's not the COVID. There's no way anybody's going to be comfortable like that in the future. And there's no way that health agencies, governments, clinics impose the new normal. I hate saying that, but it is going to be, which is you have to do virtual triaging first. You are not allowed to come into a clinic or a hospital or a visit without talking or seeing somebody virtually first and being invited to go in for that appointment. What it does is 2 things. One is it actually provides better outcomes, because now you're getting care a lot faster instead of waiting for a physical appointment that you didn't even have to go to. And number 2, it's much safer because now you're not exposing yourself or others to things, and you're not going to be rushed when you get to the clinic, because if you're there, they know why you're there, and they're there to touch you somehow, check your abdomen or give you a vaccine or whatever. And so you're going to get much better care instead of them trying to figure out why you're there and spending 10 minutes or 15 minutes trying to ask you questions of how, why you came in for your appointment. So the new way of delivering healthcare is everything we've been talking about for the last few years, and you're starting to see that now. You're starting to see governments and provinces and states talking about that kind of thing. So 100% virtual triaging is a real thing, and start expecting it, which means more use of telemedicine going forward, period.
Yeah, I mean, it basically it's gonna, it makes things a lot more efficient. It saves money. The better. I mean, it's just that's the whole thing. But also, here's the other thing: is that still people, you're at the end of the day, you're also providing healthcare service, right? You're not just an IT player, right?
That's a great thing. Yeah, I mean, what really differentiates?
We're not going to stop getting sick, unfortunately.
No, we own that whole ecosystem. That's kind of a big differentiator. Is that yes, we have telemedicine solutions for doctors to use, and they pay us recurring monthly revenue to use our platform to see their own patients. Yes, yes, we do provide direct consumer care where patients can download our app and see us virtually or in person in our clinics. Absolutely. But we also have the enterprise solution as well, and we have the whole ecosystem. And the big differentiator is what we've been saying from the beginning, is that we have to stop carving patients up into pieces. That's not how the body works. The body doesn't work in little pieces. Like, you can't cut off the brain and say that's a brain problem, or that's an arm problem, or that's a diabetes problem. It's just a thing. No, these are multi-organ. You're a whole person, basically. And it's not on you, and it shouldn't be on you to figure out the triaging, like to figure out who should I see for this problem. And historically, it's been a combination of the patient trying to figure out who should they see, and then the family doctor triaging you, but no one talking to each other, right? So then you have to wait X number of months to see this specialist for this problem, and you should have been seeing, this physio first and having this X-ray before you saw that orthopedic surgeon, and then you get worse outcomes historically. Now we're able to say to you, you're a whole person. We'll take care of it. And so if you need to be seen faster, we know who's the fastest specialist to get you into, and they can see you virtually on our platform first right away. And that's going to save you 3 months or 6 months instead of waiting around. Or if you need a psychiatrist, no problem. We have psychiatrists that can see you faster. Or if you need counseling, we have counselors. And so we have counselors that can see you. If you're an employee, no problem. You get injured, we're going to get you back to work faster. We have the metrics to show that we can get you back faster, and that saves you money and health, obviously, and prevents kind of chronic mental health issues with being off of work and everything else, and stressors. But it also is good for the employer, and it's good for the government, it's good for the insurers. And so we get the buy-in from everybody. And all these different pieces that we just announced, like you mentioned, all fit into providing that whole person care. And no one else does that. I mean, no other company has been able to kind of put all those pieces together the way we have, and provide mental health, physical health, private and public care, all in one-stop shop. Basically, that is the future. That's what we're building.
I think it's basically, I think investors I think maybe some investors, maybe in the market in general, they see the cloud in the name. I think, this company is, all they have is, it's IT, whatever it is. At the end of the day, you're really touching, the company's physically touching people, right? You have real doctors there, right?
Absolutely. So, we have the clinics, and the clinics are
powered. But it's powered. I mean, powered by the technology, the tech platform, which makes the efficiencies and everything. So it's really a next generation of healthcare. It's really, so cloud is the next generation of healthcare, and it's far beyond just telemedicine, though.
100%. And what brings it all together is the philosophy and the technology infrastructure that we built. But it all fits into the same philosophy that I just finished talking to you about. And what separates us is that we are quite revolutionary in that regards, is that we can capture that full ecosystem and provide better outcomes. And so we get the buy-in from everybody, but that's also really big revenue as well going forward. In North America, something like $4 trillion is spent on healthcare, and 90% of it on patients with chronic disease. And historically, they've been treated as pieces, a piece here for diabetes, and you have to see this specialist or that primary care doctor, and no one talks to each other. And another one, if you get injured with your shoulder and you're off of work, or you break your ankle, and then you get chronic disease, and you get chronic mental health issues because you're off of work, and then you have to go see counselors, and everybody's working over here for that, and it just, no one's working together that way. And it's within referring off to specialists and different parts of the healthcare system that we don't even know who they are, kind of thing. What we're saying is we take care of all that, and we capture all that as well in terms of revenue too. So not only is it better outcomes, but it's also bigger revenue drivers as well.
But it's the tech platform that really gives you that key difference. It's really, again, like I'm saying, like I don't know if you like the analogy, but really Doc is like the Tesla of healthcare. Because look, Tesla at the end of the day is a car, right? So just a car. It gets right. But the core of it is the technology and the upgrade, everything that makes it like a unique experience. For whatever reason, people like it. I don't like the car, but people love the car. It's great. And that is the future, right?
Yeah, and again, it's just the beginning too. If you have the good platform and the good infrastructure, technology-wise, it just grows. So you think of it as a funnel kind of thing. So you might have like a small footprint here, kind of like this, whether it's virtual, technology or on the ground. But the actual virtual kind of growth above that, the funnel above it is huge. It's massive. and it doesn't have the same costs associated with that growth. And so a lot of the costs are built in already at this level, but with scale, the margins get better and better and better.
Okay. Listen, we're gonna jump into some questions in just a bit. Okay, so that's a key point you just made. So essentially, once you get the scale and everything else, we're gonna see some massive margins.
Yeah, they're just going to get. I mean, that's the whole point. Is that going forward, every quarter, not only do you get higher revenue, but you also hopefully get more efficiency, integration, and better margins, basically.
And because you really have this, again, the whole ecosystem, like including the pharmacy, this, that, all the different pieces, the mental health. What's interesting is right now there's a couple of stocks which are, they're trading pretty good, which are like the 1M. You got this Oak Street, which have different approaches to either primary care or for seniors, but they're only doing one piece.
Exactly.
But they are starting to talk about some of the things. So it's interesting that you're doing the whole.
Yeah. And you're seeing Teladoc going from the other way, right? Going from virtual episodic care into chronic disease, into
bricks and mortar, right? They're touching it
now into eventually bricks and mortar and so on. So yeah, you're seeing kind of the future coming together.
And Amazon. Let's talk about Amazon.
Oh my God, Amazon. I don't know. You guys are probably tired of me saying this over the last 2 years, but I've been saying, watch out for Amazon. Watch out for Amazon. Amazon's coming, and I mentioned Amazon Care and Amazon Pharmacy, and they finally announced it this week that they've launched Amazon Pharmacy formally, where now your doctor can, I think, fax prescription to them, and they'll send it to you. And if you're a Prime member, they give you discounts and blah 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 blah. But that's exactly why we have the buy-in of the pharmacy chains and the various brick and mortar pharmacies and so on, and grocery chains, because they know that Amazon was eventually going to come into the space, just like Whole Foods, with the food service part of it. They're coming into it. And so the great thing about that for us is, number one, we get the interest of the pharma chains for sure. But we also, the pharmacy chains, sorry, but we also are in a position to be very attractive, let's say, to the Amazons of the world or the Teladocs of the world that need a footprint, and we already built that footprint in the places we're at. So so that's kind of where we're at here with that.
No, it's great stuff. Yeah, I think who's going into Walmart? I think it's Oak Street. Somebody's going into the Walmart. So here's my question, though. Here's the question. You mentioned Amazon. My next question is going to be, what would make, let's say, Amazon want to pay, $20 a share for Doc? I mean, at what point would they want to buy Doc? Let's say if they want to get like a footprint, let's call it, essentially a footprint.
Right.
Forget, not even Amazon. There's other players out there who have an interest. You're building out this kind of really, again, this ecosystem, which you have. The ecosystem that you have is very unique, very different than what anybody else has.
It is, and without going into a lot of detail, I mean, a lot of the things that we have within our ecosystem are used by competitors. So there's different pieces that we own and services that we offer that other companies don't have, bigger companies, and do use them as well. We don't hide the fact that we offer these things to other companies for various reasons. One is it's great for us, in terms of revenue for sure, but it's also really important that we become integral of importance basically to the future of healthcare delivery. And the more ingrained we are with all these different leaders that are going to survive, going forward, the better for our shareholders too.
Okay, so in plain English, at what point would an Amazon or somebody want to, pay $20 a share?
I can't answer you that, Jack. I mean, what I can say is that I think we went from not being known last year, let's say, to definitely getting a lot of more attention, over the last few months, and I think we're on the right track of getting that attention. And all we need to do is just continue putting our head down, growing, doing all the right things that we're doing, and I'm sure that the attention will be there.
Okay. Look, right now you're speaking to a lot of institutional investors. I know you participated in some institutional calls recently. I guess nobody's doing physical events; they're doing these, whatever, one-on-one meetings, Zoom. What are the top 3 questions that you're getting, let's say, from funds? Like, what's their big areas of concern? What are they most interested in?
A lot of times, believe it or not, it's me educating them on what we just talked about, the future of healthcare and where it's going and that kind of thing. I think because historically they tend to see a telemedicine company and they think, oh, okay, you'd either provide the software to see the patient, or you provide episodic virtual care and you're a virtual walking model. And I'm like, no, that's not what we're talking about. And neither one of them is a great model as a sole thing for a company to invest in. So it's a lot of education that way. And then depending on which side of the border, so if it's a lot of US institutions, it's about how fast can you grow and how much money do you need to do that to be the biggest kind of in what you want to do. And on the Canadian side, it's when are you going to be everywhere in Canada, like including Quebec and so on, and when are you going to be profitable, right? So it depends on who I'm talking to.
Okay, so the Americans are interested in big growth. They want to see, they want to see scale, profits. They don't. I mean, I don't think. It's funny. I think I was talking to somebody yesterday. They asked me about earnings. I said, cloud is not an earnings story yet. Maybe a year from now, people will care about earnings. But maybe I'm American. Maybe that's the way. But it's not. I don't think the market cares about the earnings yet. They want to see the footprint. They want to see the scale.
Yeah. I mean, the way I explain it, and I'm not by any means comparing us to Google or Amazon or any of those companies. So don't get me wrong there. But if you remember I'm old enough to remember the very beginnings of these companies, right? And Amazon was a penny stock, right? They were just like maybe $3, $4 or something like that. And people were like, oh yeah, you're growing, but you're losing money. And they're like, yeah, don't worry about it. We're just going to continue growing. We're continue getting footprint. Google, they didn't turn on AdSense or whatever they did until much later, if you remember, right? It was about market share first. It's provide it free, get market share, and then turn it on. The difference is that we are actually able to do both. We're actually acquiring companies that are already profitable on their own and making them even more efficient, and they're creative immediately and becoming even more creative or more higher margins together as we share some of the costs and so on and grow. But we're also trying to expand our footprint very, very fast as well. And so we're doing it in a smart way. We're not going to get ahead of our skis. However, we are expanding very, very quickly. We're not doing this to be, like I said, just okay, or just a smaller company or whatever. We think we are going to be leaders in this space.
Who are you meeting with? The guys asking these questions, are they healthcare analysts or are they tech analysts?
All of them. So health tech. Yeah, health tech. They typically be the same thing. Health and health tech are the same analysts a lot of times. And then bankers and institutions and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So I mean, like, again, back to Tesla. Is Tesla a car company or is it a tech company? It's very interesting. So we're going to have to rebrand you as the Tesla of healthcare. That's going to be the official slogan now.
You can say whatever you want, Jack.
Okay. Speaking of the Tesla of healthcare, let's talk a little bit more about the tech platform, because we never really talk about it that much, and that's one of the key differentiators, strategic value of cloud. So let's talk about that, and then we'll jump into the audience questions because they're piling up here.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes back to the philosophy that we had is that we have to own it, number one, and then we have it all in house, and we don't have to answer to anybody. But we also are always turning on certain things as well. But the whole idea of when that person said they used the platform already, that's awesome. Thank you very much. And stay tuned, right? I mean, those are going to be things that we're going to be able to turn on more and more things. But it ties in all the other pieces if you realize what I'm talking about now. So now, the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of patients on that platform will have access to other parts of that ecosystem. So now we're able to tie in the different parts of the healthcare ecosystem to that same patient instead of them being diverted off to outside of that platform. So owning the platform is important. We own it on the Canadian side, and then we also bought the company called Benchmark on the US side that already operates in 35 states, but it has the ability to operate in all 50 states. It has 5.5 million patient charts on the US side. The US is really important to understand that you need a company that already does that, already has the billing, because every state is very complicated with regards to the HMOs and the billing solutions and so on. They already do that, and so they already have that footprint. And why that's exciting for us is that in Canada, we can grow very, very fast because we already have that technology platform and everything else. Now that we have it on the US side and we announced our first clinic, you're going to be able to see now that every time we announce more and more of these chronic disease clinics, you don't have to worry about the platform being there. That thing that ties everything together, we own it as well on the US side. And that's going to be really, really important.
Then you have the patient education component. There's a lot of
IMD, IMD patient platform, which is again world class, and it ties into all our other. We're already integrated. Just so you know, like even though we just closed these deals, they're already being integrated into all our other solutions. So you're going to have that integrated into the Juno, the CloudMD app, let's say, or our EMR, Juno on this side, or Benchmark on that side. We also have Snap Clarity that you can download and start using now. And that's our mental health AI algorithm program that you can play around with it, answer questions. It'll give you a mental health dashboard, and it'll connect you to one of the proper 1,500 therapists across the country that you can now see through telemedicine. You can chat with them and you can talk to them. And why that's important is with mental health, again, it shouldn't be, I have to wait for my appointment. If you're stressed out and having a panic attack or very, very depressed, you need to talk to somebody now. So being able to be connected to the proper therapist and have the ability to connect with them whenever you need to is revolutionary again. And that's one of our technologies and one of our things that we own.
It's something. Yeah, that's one of the key assets is the mental health component.
100%. We said that. Yeah,
which is perfect for the virtual space, right?
100%.
And you've explained why so many times.
Yeah, and we said this from the beginning. And if you look at old decks of ours and everything else, we've always said mental health was going to be the big driver for telehealth for sure, until COVID came and just moved everything ahead faster. But yeah, mental health is important, and it's becoming even more important because the numbers are going up because of COVID as well. So we ran some numbers out of our own clinics and our own patients and so on, and the numbers are definitely going up considerably in terms of patients needing more and more support for their mental health concerns. And companies know this, insurance companies know this as well, and so they're using our services like Snap Clarity, Medical Confidence, Humanicare, and so on to be able to help their employees as well.
Okay, let's jump into some questions. What's Cloud's moat if and when Amazon gets into telehealth?
So it's not about fighting them off. I can't remember the name of the person, but they are, companies like Amazon and Teladoc don't grow organically when they start in a new location. They tend to acquire companies in that space already with that footprint. So we're not scared of them coming here. We're actually encouraging them to come here.
They can buy Cloud, right? $20 a share. Why not?
We'll see.
Eric is asking, how is your balance sheet? Would you need to raise more capital in the future?
No, we have an extremely strong balance sheet right now. We have, after the close of all our acquisitions, we have over 50 million in the bank already, and our current run rate right now as a base is about 35 million. And that's without any organic growth that we should have, as well as any other acquisitions that we'll hopefully announce.
Again, every time you come on, everybody wants to know about Quebec. What's Quebec? Yeah. When are you getting into Quebec?
I promise at some point we'll be able to say, hey, we're in Quebec.
I get about
I know
12 no more. And also, when are you getting into the other provinces in Canada? What's going on Canadian?
You go back to the technology thing, Jack. I mean, our technology is already built out for every province. So we can turn on every province tomorrow if we wanted to. We don't until we have the infrastructure below it in terms of the doctors and the billing people and all that kind of stuff. So we will turn them on when we turn them on, but the technology is already built out for that. So, which means basically, when we do announce it, you'll be able to use it immediately in that province.
Okay, Alex asking a question I should have asked you right at the top, because this is going to be the next kind of driver of growth, I think, for Doc is your entry into or expansion into enterprise. I mean, enterprise is going to be the big scaling, no?
Yeah, it's massive. Private care is really important because number one, these contracts tend to be 7+ figures, and they tend to be multi-year contracts as well. And historically, those contracts were only for a piece of the pie, meaning that these corporations might spend millions of dollars on just mental health support for their patient, or physical health rehab for their patients, or getting them back to work, and different vendors. We're the only company that's been able to do that all under one roof. And so we're going to be able to package multiple offerings together for that one very big, Fortune 500 kind of companies or insurers, and say, not only will we give you this service, but we're going to give you all these things together, including primary care, CloudMD on demand type of service as well.
Yeah, okay, so it's a very so I guess I think maybe Alex wants to know is, when are we going to start seeing news announcements about major enterprise deals where you're signing, $5-10 million type annual revenue deals?
Yeah, I can't answer. I can't answer that here, but there's a reason that we announced all those deals the way we did, and we launched the enterprise news release that we did with Karen Adam leading that, and so on. There's a reason that we do all these things. It's setting the standard basically for the future announcements and growth.
Okay, so in other words, there are things in the pipeline. That's the bottom line.
Yes, I mean that's exactly the hope here for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Because what's interesting also is with the enterprise, when you start doing these enterprise contracts, because you have that whole telehealth, the app component, that's a very attractive thing for a lot of companies for their employees now.
Yeah, and we have the metrics.
Or these other guys.
Yeah, and more importantly, we have the metrics. We can actually say, we're going to get your employee back this much faster, 3 months faster than not using our service. Or we can get you into a specialist, the employee into a specialist 2 months faster or 4 months faster than if they went through the public system, through their family doctor and whatever. We'll triage and we'll get them in faster. Still public system, but we have the ability to do that faster. So those are things that we can actually show the numbers of their return on investment and actual better outcomes for the patient as well.
And what's in the pipeline for updates? I think Alex is asking.
Again, you'll continue seeing that along the way. So yeah, I can't speak to it right now, but you'll probably just see continued improvements to the app and different features coming out.
I guess the question is, mental health? Are you the mental health app? You see the question? Is it social work?
Yeah, we already have all that. So, I mean, that's the whole point of the acquisitions we made with Medical Confidence and Snap Clarity and Humanicare and Refunction. Those are all things that we already have in our services, and we're able to do this already, and we'll continue to grow that.
Maybe the question is, how much of a priority is mental health for the platform?
It's extremely important, and again, I go back to what I said before as it being a driver. But more importantly, mental health has lost its stigma. I mean, historically in the past, if you're old enough, no one ever talked about it. You tend to hide. If you, as a patient, you tend to hide if you're depressed or anxious or suicidal or whatever. And now there's not the same stigma anymore. People talk about it. Leaders in the sports world or entertainers are talking about their own issues. Corporations are more than happy to support their employees now instead of telling them to hide it. So no one's ignoring it anymore. People are talking about it, and that's really, really good for outcomes. But it's also really important that you understand that these corporations, these insurance companies, want to promote that as well, that they're offering these services. So when we announce these things, it'll be because the other side of it, the customer wants to announce that they're doing this for their employees as well, right? It's good promotion for that company or that insurer as well.
Okay, so I guess Alex is asking, what's the unique advantage? What's the unique advantage that you have for enterprise?
Yeah,
Over.
I already mentioned it. Basically, is that we are kind of a one-stop shop for these enterprise solutions for these companies, where historically they had multiple vendors, different providers for different things, and nobody providing even primary care, and we're able to provide everything under one stop, basically, for these companies.
Okay. This guy's asking, my family had 3 different time slots. Same doctor showed up. The doctor is assigned as per region. I don't. Do you understand? I don't understand the question here.
I think he means like, are there different doctors working in different regions and so on? It depends on the time and the day and the location as well. So we have kind of the way we try to be, the way we're doing it is we want to make sure that there's no doctors just sitting around doing nothing as well. So we have the ability to scale depending on capacity. And so if it's very busy, then we have the ability to add other doctors. Soon you'll be able to pick the doctors and follow up with the same doctor, like I said, where you'll see the face and the name and be able to make an appointment and follow up with that same doctor and so on. Those are things that we're going to be turning on soon too.
Okay. Let's see here. So we got a skeptic here saying same script as everyone in telemedicine. What's the secret sauce? So what makes cloud unique?
Yeah, I would love to see what other company has that same script because, I mean, we've been saying it for years, and I don't think anybody else has been able to package everything we've been able to do. And again, we didn't come because of COVID. We didn't come public because of COVID. We've been around for years, and we've been saying the same thing before and during and after. Anybody saying it, right now that's come new that says they're going to do something, it takes time. This is not a month in the making. These are years and years in the making, what we've done so far. So I like the fact that people are skeptical, and that I don't mind being the underdog a little bit longer.
We like to have tough questions. We don't want to have it just like a love fest day. So okay, so we get another one. You get another question. This is good. So he's saying the clinics are the bottleneck. You can't pass. No.
No, the footprint on the ground is not the bottleneck. The whole point is I can have two doctors on my platform or 2,000 doctors on my platform. It has nothing to do with the number of clinics we have on the ground. The clinic on the ground just provides the ability that if you do need to be seen physically, we can refer you to that physical clinic. But I can have 2,000 doctors working above that clinic on the ground. There is no limit to the scale above it at all. So no, the answer is absolutely not. I mean, there is no limit that way.
We've got a bunch of people asking revenue projections next year.
Yeah, we don't give projections, but you can look at the consensus estimates. So we have 4 analysts covering us. I believe that the consensus for the end of next year is at 41, I think 40 or 41 million, I think. I told you already that we're already at 35 million run rate without any organic growth or acquisitions, and we have over 50 million in the bank. So we're comfortable with those projections.
He actually owns the stock.
No, I'd like it. Just so you know, I don't. I'm a bit of a contrarian, like I said. So I like the fact that people are skeptical still, are not 100% bought in. I like the fact that people are still hesitant. They're not really sure. I love the fact that we can still surprise people to the upside. I like that. That's great.
Okay. Okay. Wow, we only have 2 questions asking about uplisting. I think there's only 2. Usually there's like 100. So
yeah, no, we're definitely, like I said, well underway in that process. That is the plan. So I think 2021, you'll see us on more major exchanges for sure. We are, I think in Canada, we were the number 3 most traded stock for the last few months. I think it is. I think that's like we're ready to be uplisted basically at this point. I mean, our growth is substantial, and our investor base is quite large. So we're ready to be uplisted.
Michael's asking about the doctor feedback regarding the app.
Yeah. Yeah, again, we are not trying to, going back again, so it depends on which doctors you're talking about. So on the doctors who are using our platform, they love it. We have doctors lined up looking for more and more shifts on our platform. And that's something you never hear historically, right? You never say, oh, we have too many doctors, right? So that part of it, they love the ease, they love the ability to work wherever they are, not having to commute, and so on. That part of it, they love it. Doctors on the ground, we're not trying to replace, your family doctor. That's not the point of it. What we're trying to do is give better lifestyle for everybody involved and better convenience, including your family doctor, who can either use our platform to see their own patients, or even if they don't use any of our services, the ability for them to turn off, the ability for a family doctor, just stepping back 2 seconds here, Jack. I'm not sure if you know this, but as a doctor, we are obligated to provide you as a patient 24/7 care, 365 days a year, meaning we are not allowed to turn off, basically. And if we need to turn off, somebody else has to cover us. So if your doctor doesn't do that, like if you call up your doctor's office and they don't have an emergency phone number to contact them in the middle of the night, that's kind of going against our obligation. But that's not fair. I mean, what kind of life can you have if you're always on and always carry that pager or phone or whatever, and you can't take vacation because you can't find somebody to cover for you and so on? And so what we're saying is this is the ability for doctors to be part of a bigger group now, to not worry they can turn off at 5 p.m. and not worry that their patients are not being taken care of, or that they're going to end up in a merge, or they're going to fall through the cracks because they need a prescription. They can have a life as well. Our own doctors, all their incomes have gone up and their lifestyle has gone better. So they love it. We have everywhere from a brand new grad all the way to an 81-year-old or 82-year-old doctor now working on our platform. So they all love it.
It's sort of like an Uber for doctors, right? They could.
It's the way of the future. You got to have life. You can't expect doctors to be always on and have less and less income because they're working harder and harder, longer hours, which was historically the idea of the doctor.
Darren is asking, how do you visit my doc? He was skeptical. So how do you mentioned an 80-year-old guy. So how do you convince him?
That's great, Darren. I mean, I like that. That means there's still people we can sell to. So that's exactly it. I mean, so the difference is going to be this. So you're the patient of that doctor, right, Darren? So imagine now that 6 months from now or a year from now, that doctor is still skeptical and doesn't offer telemedicine, but you don't want to go into the clinic because number one, you have to take a day off of work and it takes forever to get in there and people are coughing around you. And there's other choices, and there's other doctors that are accepting patients that have more of a hybrid clinic. At some point, the patient is going to be having to be treated as a customer. And we don't do that in healthcare historically. We're going to have to start doing it soon because of efficiencies that are going to provide the ability for doctors not to be the bottleneck, where you have to provide, and it's for everybody's better good. I mean, it's better outcomes for everybody. You can't afford to be a skeptic and run a business in the future in medicine, let's just say.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I think let's kind of wrap up here. What can we? We're in December now, right? So what are your plans for the rest of 2020? What kind of news can we expect coming out of January? What's in the hopper?
It's getting busier and busier. I mean, it's getting busier on our platform in terms of patients being seen or needing care. You see what's happening with COVID everywhere, in terms of the numbers going up and lockdowns starting to be enforced. So we're getting busier on that side of it. We're getting busier on the B2B side as well, the enterprise side. I think there's not going to be a shortage of developments and news. We had issues that we had too much news coming out where we had to start rationing kind of when we put news out because we had too many things closing at the same time and things happening. So that's not going to change going forward. We are at like I said, the hockey stick type of growth in our company, and there's no bottlenecks to our growth either. Like we're not underfunded. We don't have a limited portfolio of potential acquisitions or opportunities or new contracts. We're working nonstop right now, and we have an amazing team. an absolute like spectacular. If you ask what the secret sauce we have in our company, yes, the platform and the vision and all that kind of stuff, but really it's the team as well. We have tremendous team behind us, and everybody's working 7 days a week really to provide these everything that we announce. It's after turning away probably 100 other opportunities that we've gone through. So we work nonstop on this.
Speaking of which, can you talk about any M&A deals that are in the pipeline?
No, I can't.
It's a hint.
No, I can't. We're always working on it though.
Okay, so people are busy basically. That's the bottom line.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the joke in our company is when you get hired, you have to have your running shoes on, and everyone is like they're just working nonstop.
Okay, let's see if we have. Let's wrap up. Any last questions? The secret sauce. Oh, user experience, patient-centric design. That's okay.
Yeah, but it's also people on the M&A side and operators and everybody else. Like I said, we have leaders in the space that have joined us either on our team, our management team, but also on our advisory team. I mean, some huge, massive names that don't have to join us, but they share the same vision. Successful people on their own right. And now with every acquisition, the reason we picked that acquisition was not because of the asset only. It was because of the asset and the team, in particular the team. These are all leaders in the space, very successful people, and we just keep adding to that team. So it's incredibly impressive.
So he's saying that the bottleneck is the number of healthcare providers you must consolidate quick.
No, it's a massive. I mean, if the question is how's there room for us and other competitors if other people are doing the same thing, it's huge. It's massive. I mean, we're talking tens and hundreds of thousands of different providers. We're not just talking primary care. We're talking allied health as well and everything else. It's huge. There's no one company that's going to be able to consolidate everybody. It's impossible. We would be probably a $500 billion company if we had everybody under our umbrella. No, this is about doing it properly, doing smartly, bringing the right people in, the right providers that have the same vision, that are aligned with us. So doing it smartly as well. But there's no shortage of opportunities right now.
I think what he means is the speed in which you can close deals. Of like, can you get to 500 billion in business instead of
No, like I said, we have an amazing team that is always filtering and closing.
Ben is asking, there's a rumor that you're building this for potential buyout.
Mm-hmm.
It's a rumor.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing about that is that we are building this to be a sustainable, huge, massive, profitable company going forward, but provide good care for the patients as well. I did this out of, I left my practice and we started this because I have a passion around what the future of healthcare is going to look like and providing better outcomes using technology and so on. That's the main driver. But I'm also in the belief always that if you do something right with the right kind of reasoning and vision, and you do it in a smart way, that you will get attention. And so if you ask me what my feeling is going to be in the future, like I said, either we're going to be extremely big, or we're going to be acquired by somebody else, just because that's what happens in space, right? In any space, you see consolidation at some point. That's just the way it is. But we're not doing it for that one reason, no.
Right. I mean, ultimately, the focus is on maximizing shareholder value.
100%.
Whether it's the growth, which is going to create the VAT, whatever the number is. I mean,
100%. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm the shareholder. I'm right there with everybody else. I escrowed my stock for 3 years when we went public on purpose, voluntarily. This is a long-term vision. It's a long-term opportunity, and I'm fully aligned with the investors.
Can you say, like in terms of long-term, right? Where do you see, cloud, 3 years from now? Like, what is this going to look like? I mean, because it's been evolving since I first asked you the question. Well, maybe I first asked you that question, 5 months ago or 3 months ago.
Right.
Is the same?
Yeah, I think we're gonna, look back and laugh, and probably look back and laugh about this video and talking about whatever the stock price is and whatever the 35 million run rate is, and I think we'll say that was just the beginning kind of thing. Typically that's what happens if you have a good model and a good plan, and you stick with it, and you're methodical, and you don't divert off of that thing. I think we're doing all the right things that way.
Yeah, I mean, this guy wants you to think big. 500 billion. Come on. I mean,
yeah.
Why not? I mean, somebody has to do it, right?
Yeah, there's going to be winners in the space, and you remember, like I said, I mean, and again, I'm not comparing ourselves to Google or Amazon, whatever, but they were, few dollar stocks, and people were making fun of them at the very beginning, saying, "Who's going to shop online, right? Or how are you going to make money off of this?" The great thing about it is we're already making money off of this, and this is probably the biggest industry that's out there that hasn't been tapped. And so that's extremely, extremely valuable, and you just have to be smart about it.
Okay. On that note, top three, in your opinion, the question we always ask, you've asked many times, top three reasons why investors, should consider cloud today. I mean, besides the pandemic curing all of man's humanity, and we're all going back to VHS.
Yeah. Probably the same things that I mentioned before. We were started by practitioners and doctors and people in the healthcare industry that understand the healthcare industry, which is really, really important. Number two is that we are at the very beginning of a major, major transformation in one of the biggest industries in the world that has been not touched. And number three, that we have no bottlenecks anymore. There's no issues with funding or pipeline or potential or customers to go after or anything that way. So it's really the beginning of, again, like I said to you, I think last time, this is only the second time I've ever said it in our company, that this is a major inflection point in our company again. And last time I said it, I think we were at 60 or 70 cents. So I think this is another major inflection point in our company right now.
And if you remember, when we spoke in October, the stock, I think, broke a dollar or something, and then it dropped like 10 cents. And we had a lot of people worried, like,
sure,
is this crashing? Why is it down 10 cents? So, maybe they'll be back when the stock is, $10, asking the same question.
No, but I mean, I respect people doing what they feel comfortable doing. I mean, they have to invest.
Right,
based on their comfort level.
I do this all the time.
I'm more of a long-term type of, typically an investor, kind of, major trends and long-term type of vision when I invest. And so that's kind of where I always come from.
Okay. You're the cure.
I don't think so, but yeah, I mean, speaking of COVID again, guys, I mean, I think, again, it's very important to make sure that people understand that vaccine news is good news. It's not bad news for our industry or anything else. It's actually good. We should encourage and be happy that these things are coming out, and it's going to help the world kind of come back to some form of normality. But that normal is going to be different than what we talked about. It's not going to go back to what you said. Basically, it's kind of the new way of doing things. So we should be encouraging and being happy with all these things that are happening.
Yeah. So bottom line, vaccine, end of pandemic it has no effect on cloud, the long-term future, technology expanded. This is,
we don't mention, I don't think we even mentioned COVID once in our deck. I mean, we've never really done that because it's sped up our business plan by 10 years, but it's not the big driver.
That's what it is. It just accelerated everything. And yeah, so it's crazy that people are thinking. Okay, so Dr. Hamza, I'll let you get back to work. Thank you for joining us for the live stream. Thank you, everybody in our audience, for all the great questions. We even had some tough questions this time. Always good to get that. So again, we'll see you on the next live stream.
Okay, thanks, guys.